my favorite topics, the male anatomy. Alright, well, I gave you a true and false quiz to start off with, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of mix in the true and false quiz with these anatomy sheets that I asked you to fill out, and we'll kind of be mixing it up between the two, and I'll try to keep this lecture down to less than 15 minutes, and then I'll give a break and try to stop so that you don't have long bouts of lecture to listen to. Alright, well, let's start out with the first one of these. Okay, so we're going to go to this top line right here, and this is called the bladder. So I wanted to show you something kind of cool about the bladder. Here's my next slide here, and I believe this is from the same artist. I took it from the same website, and what I'm trying to demonstrate here is look at how much larger the male bladder is than the female bladder. So that's something, like, I'm trying to show it to you with this picture, but it's a known fact that males have a larger bladder than females. So if you're ever wondering, like, oh, why do females have to go to the restroom all the time? Now you can see that the male bladder tends to hold more. Also, I know that there was a question, I believe, if you've ever wondered, like, why do women, when they have sex, why do they jump up and they have to go to the bathroom a lot? And as you can see, like, from this picture right here, you can see that, oh, it's because the vagina, like, when the penis is thrusting inside of here, then it's stimulating her bladder. Also, something that I notice, I'm not sure if you guys do because you're younger than me and, like, I've had babies, so it's a little bit different, is right before my period I find that I have to use the bathroom a lot because this is all full, and so it's putting pressure on my bladder and it makes me urinate more. And also a very early sign of pregnancy, almost before that you even know that you're pregnant, is you have to urinate a lot because this starts to swell up and it puts pressure here and you have to urinate. Well, anyway, so that's a little bit about the bladder. Now let's go to our next. Okay, this is called seminal vesicles. Okay, seminal vesicles. So let's see, I'm pretty sure there's a question on here. Well, I'm not quite sure that I see it. Oh, yes, here it is, number 3. Semen is just another name for sperm. Alright, so that is false. This is pretty cool. I want you to make sure that you write this down. So actually, I created a note page for you. Okay, seminal vesicles. And so the seminal vesicles, what they do is they create 70%, oops, sorry about that, 70% of semen. They release a fluid that is high in fructose. So I know I saw that question on here and it says semen is fattening. Okay, so the answer is no. So semen has about 50 calories. By the way, how much does the average man ejaculate? The answer is he only ejaculates usually about a tablespoon, not like half a cup or anything crazy like that. So about a tablespoon. And so they think that the average ejaculate has about 50 calories. Actually, there's not really much to semen. It's not particularly good for you. It's not bad for you. It's not super healthy for you or anything like that. There's like a little bit of protein in it, not much, a little, you know, here and there. But I do remember seeing a research study, it was a long time ago, what they actually did a correlational study where they found that women who were exposed to semen reported less depression than women who didn't. So that's an interesting one. So they found that women who used condoms, so they weren't actually exposed to semen, they reported more depression, and they thought maybe that it had to do with the testosterone that may be present in the ejaculate. Okay, So why would we need a fluid that's high in fructose? The reason why we need a fluid that's high in fructose is because the sperm actually has a long journey. Like maybe we'll watch a video where we can see the journey of the sperm. I'm sure you guys see it in your lifespan development classes. And it actually has a long way to go. And so it needs the fructose in order to nourish it on its journey. Okay, so let's go back. These are the seminal vesicles, and they release 70% of the ejaculate fluid, which is high in fructose. Okay, let's go to our next one. This is called the prostate gland. Alright, so the prostate gland. So I'm pretty sure that I have a question on here, and it says something like, the prostate gland is the male G-spot. That is true. So supposedly, if males have a G-spot, then it would be the prostate gland. So some men find this area to be sexually area on men where it can be sexually arousing, but it actually, this is where men have a lot of problems too. So they can get prostatitis at a young age, like where it gets inflamed. They can get it from like eating seafood, certain bacteria get in there. Also from it being stimulated, like too much from riding a motorcycle or heavy machinery or something like that. And so also that's a main place for cancer for men, prostate cancer. And then we're going to find out that the prostate gland grows as men age, so sometimes the prostate gets so large that it starts to cut off these structures right here, and that's called BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. So this prostate gland, what does it do? What it does is, let's put this on our notes here. Okay, we're going to go down here to prostate gland. What it does is it releases 30% of semen. So I know right there. And then semen is 1% sperm, okay, 30% prostate. I know these numbers don't quite add up, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Seminal vesicle, fluid. Okay, so what this fluid is, the prostate fluid, this is an alkaline fluid. So the fluid that comes from the prostate is alkaline. So the vagina is very acidic, and so the sperm actually has a difficult time getting through the acidity. As a matter of fact, what happens is when a woman ovulates, the cervix will release this kind of fluid that's called mucin, but it's like channels. It's like, picture like strings, or like if you wanted to picture like Star Trek. I don't know if you guys know Star Trek. Star Trek is like, it's like these tubes, and then you can beam up through the tubes. And so when a woman ovulates, actually she releases these strands of mucin, and the sperm and semen can get up to the channels of mucin because they're blocked off from the acidity so much. And so when sperm actually travels up to the egg, it actually has to coagulate. It all has to come together, and it has to act like as an army against the hostile vagina. So anyway, this prostate fluid is like alkaline, so it kind of buffers the acidity of the vagina. Okay, so there's the prostate gland. Let's move on to another gland. And this one is called the calpers gland. I think that this also goes by another name sometimes, but I always call it the calpers gland. So we're going to go with calpers gland, but my brain right now is going ding, 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 ding. There's another name for this. It could be like bulbourethral gland or something like that, but I always learned it as the calpers gland, so let's stick with this. So the calpers gland is, I don't know if you guys know, but on the tip of a man's penis a lot of times is there's this fluid, and a lot of people like to call it precum. And what this fluid is it is actually secreted by the calpers gland. So you see how this is the urethra right here? So the semen ejaculates from the same exact place where the man goes to the bathroom. So they believe that this calpers fluid is there so it can kind of buffer the acidity of the urine. Remember I told you semen doesn't really like that acidity. So it buffers the acidity that's left over in the urethra from when he urinates out. It also acts like as a lubricant. Now, I've had many men in class, and a lot of times, here, let's go with this, it probably says you can get pregnant. I know that I usually have a question on here that says that you can get pregnant. I don't see where it is, but we'll check it out. Okay, can you get pregnant from precum? And the answer is yes, you can. What happens is I've had a lot of men in class, and a lot of them will tell me that they can control their ejaculation. And we'll actually have you guys do an experiment if you have a willing man and ask him to actually ejaculate, or you could have him ejaculate, however you want to do this, or you could just take my word for it. Anyway, if you ask them, tell me when exactly you come, you will see that a lot of times their sensation of verbally telling you when they come is different than when actually the semen actually starts to go out. And that's because they are controlled by two very different parts. So the spinal cord actually controls the ejaculation part, but the sensation of feeling an orgasm is up in the brain. So sometimes they're out of sync. In fact, a lot of times they're out of sync. And especially this happens more and more the longer time that goes between when they ejaculate and, the amount of time between they ejaculate, and also age can affect this. So in any case, a lot of men will say that they can control their ejaculation. So the withdrawal method, where you pull the penis out, is safe. But the problem is that there is some semen in the precum, and I have never, ever, ever, ever heard a man tell me that he can control his precum. It's just something they're usually not aware of happening. And so, if you ever watch the movie, it's like a classic movie, it's kind of old for you guys, but if you ever watch the movie Something About Mary, it's fun, you should watch it if you haven't. There's a scene in there where they tell the guy, they're like, what? You need to take the edge off, you need to masturbate before you go out on a date. Of course you have to do that, that's just standard practice. So a lot of men do masturbate throughout the day. It's part of their daily routine. They wake up in the morning, and before they get out of bed, they masturbate, or maybe they masturbate in the shower, or it's a big practice for them to masturbate before going on a date so that they make sure that they're not too ready to go on the date or something like that. So especially if men have masturbated earlier in the day, that precum is very likely to have some viable sperm in it. Because when the lubrication comes out, the sperm was already sitting in there from their previous ejaculation, and thus we can get pregnant from precum. Okay, well, anyway, I think that we'll go one more right now, and then we'll have to stop because I like to keep these right at about 15 minutes, right? That's about all we can take here. And then we need a little break. Vas deferens. Okay. Let's go to this next one. The vas deferens. So the vas deferens, what it does is, see, look, we're going to find out that the sperm is made down here in the testicle. And then it goes up here to this epididymis, and this is the storehouse of the sperm. And then what carries it from the sperm warehouse is the vas deferens, and it takes it up and it will meet to the urethra. So what they do with a vasectomy is they cut this. Now, which procedure do you think is more common? Is it the vasectomy or the tubal ligation? Well, it should be the vasectomy for sure. Because a vasectomy is so much easier to do. Did you guys know that a vasectomy is an office business? Oh, you want to watch another movie? This is a classic one too. Check out Hard Candy. It's about this girl that she finds this pedophile kind of guy, and she threatens him, like seriously threatens him, I don't want to ruin it, with a vasectomy. And is it possible for an average human to perform a vasectomy? Probably, because it's not a very difficult procedure. Hopefully I'm going to be able to show you one, but basically this thing right here is the scrotum. So this is a thing, but you know, the sac that holds the testicle is the scrotum. So basically they're just going to make a cut right here in the scrotum. Then they're going to use this tool, and they're going to, well, first of all, we're going to numb you. Numb, 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 numb. Okay, anyway. Then we're going to cut this scrotum. Then we're going to go in and we're going to take like a little hook, crochet hook, and then we're going to make a cut here. And then either they're going to burn it, or they're going to put a staple, like a kind of staple, a clip, actually a gold clip, here. And then they do the other side. And it's so simple. And in fact, the men will usually just say it was very uncomfortable for a couple days. But it's like a 10-minute office procedure. Whereas with women, they usually have to be under anesthetic, a general anesthetic. Then they have to fill their abdomen with gas. Then they have to stick a tube in there. And then they have to go in and they have to clamp off both fallopian tubes. So anyway, the vasectomy is much easier, but it's not done as commonly. But maybe our next video we'll see what a vasectomy is. Okay? All right. Well, that's been 15 minutes, so we better stop here.